What's up, the squad? Back with another video. I'm Recklezz.
Okay.
Got more of Paul Harvey. Freedom to Change. You feel me? 1965. Definitely geek to see what this one. You know what I'm saying? What this got to bring.
This one, I know this one will be a little different.
Yeah, the last one was I like the last one.
That was the 3-minute one, right?
Yeah, If I Were the Devil.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a nice one. I like that one. But you already know, make sure y'all hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. If you haven't seen that video, make sure y'all go check that one out, you feel me? Make sure y'all go check the video out in general, if y'all, even if y'all don't look at, you know what I'm saying, our reaction to it. But go check that video out, you know what I'm saying? And then come back to the reaction, let me know y'all thoughts. You already know, hit that like button, subscribe button. Let's get in the video. And it gotta be transparent, because I don't want to get blocked. So this from 1965 too, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was about to say Hebrew.
Now then, what makes a nation strong? Taxes? There's nothing new about those either. The first income tax was paid by Abraham. It was written on a rock by the hand of divinity and handed to Moses at the top of Mount Sinai. And you might want to remember this. It was at the flat rate of 10%. It probably on anybody who tampered with or violated that law. Christ was born in Bethlehem because Joseph was on his way to pay his taxes. Joseph was a relatively well-to-do landowner of the house and lineage of David. Yet the taxes exacted by Caesar Augustus were so exorbitant that he didn't have enough money left over to employ a trusted master for the mission, so though his wife was great with child, he made the journey himself. And Christ was born in Bethlehem because Joseph was on his way to pay his taxes. And Christ was born in a manger because there was a housing shortage when he got there. Our problems are not new. At Runnymede, the Magna Carta was handed to King John on the end of a sword.
The fact that he said our problems are not
I
new.
was gonna say this ain't nothing new, is it?
Our problems, I mean, come on.
The Magna Carta was handed to King John on the end of a sword, denying to royalty the right of unlimited taxation. Yet you know it was for us, the American people, to become the first history ever voluntarily to surrender our rights to private property. Oh, yes, we did. With an innocent-sounding Constitution, 16th, which says that Congress shall have and collect taxes on incomes source derived, and we forgot to put any limit on the extent to which we could tax ourselves. Conceive be taxed out of all private property.
Damn. Born free, taxed to death. Damn.
That's too.
70%, 80%, 90%, but 100%. We could awaken one morning and find that the government owns the farm and the house, the church, legally. Historically, whenever any nation has taxed its people their national income, initiative was destroyed, and that eclipse. Presently, the American people are being taxed 33. History says we'll roll forward on momentum for a little while. You see, our on the world stage, there have been several. And each enjoyed about 150 years at its zenith. Our time in the New World, and then each decayed away.
Yeah.
Each rotted away. Because each one got fat. And when they got fat, responsibility and turn over to government to do for them.
And it's crazy because he said at the beginning, like, this is something that's not new.
Yeah.
Like, this is, and the fact that, the fact that he said this in 1965, the fact that it's 2023, and this is stuff that's like still going on is like crazy. Like, you know what I'm saying? They say about the Simpsons. They be saying like all the stuff that be going on and stuff. Like,
I just seen a TikTok about the submarine thing.
Yeah.
And it said the Simpsons did it again, and it was the same thing.
Yeah, and I don't really get into stuff like that. Like,
Yeah.
with the
TikTok
with the little Simpson stuff. Like, But this is crazy right here. Like, just to know that somebody said this, you know, back in 1965, and the fact that this is stuff that's, you know, here.
Yeah,
like, there's people that's just lazy and just don't want to do nothing, or like just people that's just getting comfortable and want to receive, you know, those free benefits.
Like this.
Yeah.
Ability and turn over to government to do for them things which traditionally they had been doing for themselves. At first, there appears to be nothing wrong in asking government to perform some extra service for you, but if you ask government for extra services, government, in order to perform its increasing function, has to get bigger, right? And as government gets bigger, in order to support its increasing size, it has to what? Tax the individual more, so the individual gets littler. And to collect the increased taxes requires more tax collectors, so the government gets bigger, and in order to pay the additional tax collectors, it has to tax the individual more, so the government gets bigger and the individual gets littler. And the government gets bigger and the individual gets littler until the government is all-powerful. The individual is hardly anything at all. The government is all-powerful. The people are cattle. Now, some believe that the need is for a vigorous, strong man to arise on the scene, to regulate and regiment the affairs of men. Yet history tells us there have been several such. Once upon a time, there was a nation great and powerful and good. She was suffering from the aftermath of war, from the Depression. And then came upon the scene a leader, an idealist, self-confident, intolerant of criticism. Wisely, he limited his early activities to combating the financial depression. Nobody could argue with that. But in a while, he began to regulate business and establish new rules to govern commerce and finance. Some of them in diametrical disagreement with the God-made laws of supply and demand, but anybody who disagreed with those new rules was promptly fired. The new leader saw that under the old system of free enterprise, landlords prospered, so he levied new taxes to take away their profits and destroy what he called the monopoly of capital. To please laborers, he controlled prices. To win the favor of the farmers, he gave them loans and subsidies. The national debt mounted alarmingly. Whenever anybody tried to tell him that governments, even as people, can go broke when they spend beyond their incomes, he said they just didn't understand deficit finance.
That's crazy.
They
Just
spend
seeing
beyond
those
their
signs
income.
right here.
Yeah.
Watching, seeing these signs, and then seeing these, I feel like it's such a, I'm not gonna say surprising, because this is stuff that, you know, that it's surprising the fact that he said this in 1965, but I don't think it's surprising as what's going on today, because today is like literally everything that he's talking about. I mean, seeing the signs, seeing, you know, the whole fact of just what he's talking about, and how it, just seeing like the signs outside of home, just everything he's talking about literally applies for things that's going on today, even with the last video. And I feel like this video is even stronger because it's like
Everything he's saying is like going on.
12 minutes of it.
Yeah.
It was 3 minutes of the last
Okay,
one.
and we're only 5 minutes in, so.
Facts.
Comes. He said they just didn't understand deficit finance. Well, what do you say? Did he build on rock or on sand? I say on sand. For you see, this was the story of Emperor Su Tongpo, who led China to its doom more than 1,000 years ago. I am satisfied with all my heart that if Uncle Sam ever does get whipped, here too, it will have been an inside job. It was internal decay. It was not external attack that destroyed the Roman Empire. Starting about 146 BC, internal conditions in Rome were characterized by a welter of class wars and conflicts, street brawls, corrupt governors, lack of personal integrity and moral responsibility. About 290 years after Christ, a Roman emperor named Diocletian took over. He really grabbed the bull by the horns. He took over in a period of turmoil and severe depression. The first thing Diocletian did was call in the gold and close the banks and raise the taxes. He reduced the power of the Senate, delegated its power to a lot of little government bureaus. Do you know they even had a Transportation Act back there prescribing the fee required to rent one laden ass per mile? And at today's rate of exchange, it would have amounted to about 1/8 cent per mile, which meant that in order to make a profit, a jackass would have to carry 5 passengers. That was simply beyond the capacity of the jackass. Diocletian put millions of people on the public payroll, but when this failed to do the job, the country was still in trouble. He asked more personal powers for himself. For a brief while, incidentally, they were standby powers, but then he used them all at once. He froze wages, he froze prices, he froze jobs, he stopped profits, he dictated to the farmer what he should plant, when and how he should sell it, and for how much, and he rationed food. And what happened? The labor market closed down. Incentive was gone. Farm life became dependent on bureaucratic red tape. Exorbitant taxes cost the farmer his land. He kept for himself only a small plot on which he might grow turnips for his family. He lost the rest of it to the state. And without food and with incentive gone, city life stagnated and declined. And Rome passed into what history has recorded as the Dark Ages, lasting 1,000 years.
It's so crazy just listening to this because not only do, like I said, like during this video and like in the beginning and stuff like that, but like I know a lot of these things like apply to stuff today, but at the same time, this is like, it just reminds me like, because I see somebody commenting was like, somebody said they used to listen to Paul Harvey and their parents or something like that used to listen to Paul Harvey back then, and it's like this is its own like, I don't know, like YouTube, you know, of listening of what, you know, is going on. And on top of that, like I just like the video itself because you learn so much, just not about what's going on today, but what happened back then.
So, yeah, what happened back then?
Yeah, what happened back then, what happened back then before that, like, and it's like it's a cycle, like stuff is still going on. Like you said in the beginning, like there's nothing new, you know.
It's weird, but it's like good that we are listening to it.
Yeah, and I feel like it should be, I feel like more people should actually listen to it and pay attention to things like this rather than other things, you know. Like,
this is like what's important. This is what's really going on.
And it's just taking 12 minutes out of your day, you know what I'm saying?
Just 12 minutes.
Plus more if you're watching the reaction.
Yeah.
History has recorded as the Dark Ages, lasting 1,000 years. Just by turning to the left, the world has gone in circles. A nation would evolve from a monarchy into an oligarchy, from oligarchy to dictatorship, from dictatorship to bureaucracy, from bureaucracy to pure democracy, where finally the people would cry out from the chaos and confusion of the streets, "Oh, please, God, give us a king," and God would give them a king, and they'd have a monarchy again and start the whole silly cycle anew. Now either we will profit from the errors of their ways, or it follows as the night the day, our children are going to have to relive the Dark Ages all over again.
And that right there is deep. That's speaking real.
Yeah.
I feel like, and then it's sad because like I feel like a lot of parents aren't guiding their kids into the right direction. A lot of parents, schools, schools, just learning these things. Like it's a lot of stuff that myself reacted to, Chris reacted to over the past 3-4 weeks that we didn't learn in school.
Yeah, I didn't even hear none of that in school.
Yeah, and I feel like we, like myself and Chris, you know, give each other, you know what I'm saying, a pat on the back, like, because without even knowing, you know, this stuff and like finding these videos, or even y'all, you know what I'm saying, definitely thanks to y'all. Yeah, because this is stuff that we didn't learn, you know. I know that I didn't learn. I can't really speak for you, but I know I didn't learn none of this stuff in school.
That's why I'm like so surprised at like half of this stuff half the time, because it's like we should have learned this.
Yeah, and you don't. You people in school, like we'll do a reaction. People in school reacting to stuff that don't even have nothing to do with nothing. You know what I'm saying?
I know the kids now definitely aren't learning about any of this, so it's just like
it's all TikTok. It's getting on TikTok. It's playing video games and stuff like that. It's not really. You don't really learn. And again, that's why I said it is the teachers and stuff like that, but it's also the parents. Mm-hmm. A lot of parents are all stuck in their, especially young parents, you know, stuck in their own ways of not doing and not, you know what I'm saying? They had a kid come home and they doing something else and got something else going, but your kid, you know, playing video games, they're all outside when they ain't got no, you know what I'm saying? Stuff like that.
12 minutes.
Yeah, kids that's not really learning stuff, kids that's getting killed. Knowing they're supposed to be in the house, but then again, it starts with the parents. it's stuff like that. Like it just sucks. This generation, like the younger generation, like it. I don't know. It's just like I tell my brothers and sisters, like, bro, like, what are we gonna do, like, with y'all?
Yeah.
Like, literally, like, I know that we bad in a lot of sorts, but it's like, damn, like, and it's right. I mean, it's like it's that cycle. It's that cycle. Like, it starts with the parents, and I feel like seeing these videos, reacting to these videos, is putting a lot of knowledge in our heads for the simple fact of we got Rennie and then we got Love. She ain't born yet, but you know what I'm saying.
It'll be that time.
Yeah, and I feel like I take it serious. Even before Rennie was born, she getting homeschooled. It's too much going on, you know, for that.
They're not even teaching enough,
Yeah,
obviously.
facts.
So.
I'm like, I told her, I'm like, hey, I do reactions, at home, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We cooling. We need, if I gotta stay at home, we'll make it work, but it's these schools, and like I said, it's the parents, you feel me? Then they get mad at the kids. Oh, you ain't making the grades, man. Well, you not at home. I mean, how you expect them to make the grades and to do this? Man, you're not even at home. Yeah.
How come, after thousands of years of experiment, our new nation has come so far so fast? All this in less than 200 years. What is the secret of our success? Well, I think it had to do with a basic American's creed. Perhaps it never passed the pioneer's lips in this form, but if it had, I think he would have said something like this: I believe in my God, in my country, and in myself. I know that sounds like a trite, too simple thing to say, and yet it's a rare man today who will dare to stand up and say, I believe in my God and my country and in myself, and in that order. When the early American pioneer first turned his eyes toward the west, there were only Indian trails, or traces as they were called, for him to follow through the wilderness. Do you know today you can roller skate from Miami to Seattle? From San Diego to Plymouth Rock? In this little bitty instant, as historical time is measured, our 7% of the Earth's population has come to possess more than half of all the world's good things. How come? Well, sir, when that early pioneer turned his eyes toward the west, he didn't demand that somebody else look after him. He didn't demand a free education. He didn't demand a guaranteed rocking chair at eventide. He didn't demand that somebody else take care of him if he got ill or got old. There was an old-fashioned philosophy in those days that a man was supposed to provide for his own and for his own future. He didn't demand a maximum amount of money for a minimum amount of work.
And a lot of men that's not really doing nothing and want to just be lazy and not doing nothing, y'all definitely should be the ones watching this video, because that right there speaks truth. Like, you should be able to get up and get things going. You shouldn't be able to, oh, well, this person has to do this for me. This person has to, and there's so many men that I hear do that and say that. Like, you know what I'm saying? And it sucks. I got a family member right now that I can think of off the top of my head that just, I don't want to do nothing. You know what I'm saying? You just want to sit there. You just want to, and that's not good. You know what I'm saying? Now, if you see it, I mean, if the shoe fits, I mean, wear it. You know what I'm saying? No hard feelings. Just the fact that a lot of men that's like that needs to see this. Like, you shouldn't expect nothing free. You get out and get on, especially when you got kids, especially when you got a wife that you have to provide for your family. You know what I'm saying? Even if you don't have a wife.
Yeah, still.
Provide for them kids, provide for your family. That's still your family.
And still yourself, like,
yeah.
Regardless, but kids, yes.
Facts.
He didn't demand a maximum amount of money for a minimum amount of work. Nor did he expect pay for no work at all. Come to think of it, he didn't demand anything. That hard-handed pioneer just looked out there at the rolling plains, stretching away to the tall green mountains, and then lifted his eyes to the blue skies and said, thank you, God. Now I can take it from here.
I try to do that every day, too.
Well, that spirit isn't dead in our country. It's
to thank God, really. Like, where I literally, you know what I'm saying, come from in general, and the past, you know what I'm saying, 4 or 5 months of going through what I'm going through. Like, I thank God for the position I am today. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's something that's deep.
Yeah, I would say that's good to do, though.
Yeah, it definitely is.
It's dormant. It's been discredited in some circles, driven underground, but it isn't dead. It's just that a few seasons ago, politicians baiting their hooks with free barbecue and trading a Ponzi promise for votes, began telling us we don't want opportunity anymore, we want security. We don't want opportunity, they said, we want security. They said it so often we came to believe them. We wanted security. And they gave us chains, and we were secure. Suddenly, with our constitutional guarantees depleted, with our national character eroding away, with our tax laws penalizing those who dare to prosper, with workers concentrating on how little they can get by with instead of how much they can produce, suddenly we looked overhead one day to discover that the first tin moon in space was a Russian accomplishment. That free men dragging their feet had been outdistanced by slave workers dragging their chains. And we were sore afraid. Perhaps this was a disguised blessing, too. Maybe a dramatic accomplishment by this Cold War adversary was necessary to get us off our dead centers and back to work again. If we can revive in ourselves, then in our youth, something of that basic American's creed, the horizon has never, ever been so limitless. For man stands now on the threshold of his highest adventure of all, his first faltering footsteps into space. 20 years from today, half of the products you will be using in your everyday living aren't even in the dictionary yet.
Hey.
We've got it made. If we just keep on keeping on, we've got it made. And if we don't,
Rest in peace, Paul Harvey. I like
follow
him.
those other great nation states of history into the graveyard of ignominious oblivion.
It's like a grandpa you never met.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
History promises only this for certain. We will get exactly what we deserve.
I enjoyed this a lot. I feel like that's deep. Like, I'm gonna leave this last thing is I feel like if your kids, regardless, you have a son or a daughter, especially a son though, and they're looking at a man and they see, oh, my daddy's he getting to work, he doing something positive, I want to be just like him. That's what's important. You know what I'm saying? It's not important to see your kid just sitting there and you just sitting there, you know, not doing nothing.
Together,
Not doing nothing, have no motion, just not, you know, just sitting there. Oh, guys, we just got this free. We got this free. We got that. What do you think that kid is going?
Yeah.
They're gonna be like, they're gonna look at what at the next kid in school like what? What do you mean? Why do you have to work? Why do you have to work?
Yeah, you don't have all that free stuff, and it's like you don't have anything.
Yeah, I feel like that. That's
build
that's
up
deep.
to get anything because you was getting everything free from the beginning.
Facts.
So
Facts. They look at the other kid, you know what I'm saying? They go to school and they like, oh, why do you have to work? We get things free. They still have that mindset. They're like, oh, we get this, we doing this free. Kids, regardless of the fact, like, kids are smart. Kids are literally smart. Like, especially kids now, they're really smart. You know what I'm saying? They just don't know it. It's the influence they have. It's literally the influence they have, and because they're really smart. But definitely enjoyed this video. Didn't mean it to be that long, you know what I'm saying? But definitely enjoyed it. There's more Paul Harvey videos. Make sure y'all comment down below and let it be known because I actually enjoy Paul Harvey videos. And I tell y'all, a few years back, I probably would be bored out of my mind.
Yeah.
Like I probably would be bored out of my mind because I never, you know, and I would be real. Like, but you know what I'm saying? Learning these new things, like, and just doing, you know, different videos. Even when I was doing music reactions and stuff like that, the fact that I was like, I don't know about this. But then keep on reacting to it. Like, I enjoy it a lot. You know what I'm saying? But you already know, make sure you hit the like button, hit that subscribe. I definitely appreciate everybody tuning in, watching this reaction. Catch y'all next one.